Hey friends, welcome to my channel. How have you been? How has your week been? How is everything going for you? How is the new month going for you? I have a bit of a flu, but so far so good. I can't complain. June is off to a great start here, and I hope it's also great for you. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I do content around everything. If you're back, welcome back. I am so glad that you're here watching this today and keeping me company. So from the title, this is exactly what you're going to talk about, because I recently met someone who was telling me how they're finding life so hard here, and I was like, life is hard everywhere. Like, what did you think life was going to be here? And yeah, that's the basis of the topic today. And I feel like this is something that people should know about. But then from the different videos I've seen on TikTok, like people trying to explain, people who are abroad trying to explain to people who are not abroad how things are, some people who are not living abroad are like, stop lying to us, blah 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 blah. But well, I guess it's like a hard thing to talk about or to understand until you actually move abroad. So going straight into it, one of the things like I experienced a lot of when I moved abroad, and something I think no one really tells you about moving abroad, is the emotional roller coaster that moving abroad comes with. Let me tell you, 1 minute you're excited about moving, another minute you're like, am I making the right choice? And then you move and you're like, what did I get myself into? Like, there are so many moments of questioning yourself, so many moments of frustrations, so many moments of excitement, so many moments of loneliness, like where it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. And in between this, you still have to do what brought you here. If it's studying, you still have to study and make sure you pass. You still have to raise school fees if you came here as a student. If you came here to work, you still have to perform in your job. If you came here with a family member, you still have to be there for your kids or for your partner. My friends, the emotional roller coaster is something else. And for me, I think one of the things, of course, has been to communicate with people back home and just try and get out of the funk. Like, if I'm feeling lonely, get out of that funk. If I'm feeling frustrated, think of why I'm feeling frustrated and see how I can like get out of that. So that for me has worked. Now, number 2 is language barrier. I know I've talked about this in like my previous videos, talking about like how if you're traveling to a country that doesn't speak your language, you need to learn the language and stuff like that. But this is slightly different, because even in an English speaking country, there's language barrier. Language barrier in the sense that, for me, for example, I come from Kenya where English is the main language. I moved here where English is the main language. But then, even in the midst of all this, there's those little things that come up. It could be like the slang, it could be how things are written. For example, organizations with a Z instead of organizations with an S, or something like that. Color with OUR instead of color with just OR, COLOR. So yeah, so that could be a barrier. And actually, if you come as a student, or if you move as a student and you make such mistakes, like if you write organization with a Z instead of an S, or vice versa, you're actually penalized for that. So that's one other thing that people don't talk about. People are like, as long as you know English, you'll be fine. But let me tell you, there's more than knowing English or Japanese or Chinese or whatever, depending on where you're moving to. Then comes the legal and administrative challenges. I feel like by now everyone knows like they need a work permit to work and stuff like that. But then there's certain things like filing taxes, like applying for housing. How does that go? Getting a job as, say, a student. Is it legal? What are the hours you're supposed to work and stuff like that? And these are some of the things like some people don't like. I've not had many people talk about it. And when I came to Australia, there was no limit on the hours a student could work, but then they're reintroducing that in July, and people will have to work, or students will have to work a maximum of 48 hours per week, which of course is less, because remember, people who come here as students most times are trying to raise their fees. So how do they need to survive? When it comes to filing taxes, how are you filing your taxes? Do you need to file taxes? Do you even have a tax file number? When it comes to applying for houses, do you have a reference? Do you have, like, there's so many things you need, and things that people do not talk about. So you won't have this information. And then sometimes you're just applying for housing and you're like, why am I not getting a house? Why is it being denied? And stuff like that. On housing, in Kenya, we do not apply for houses. We just go view a house. If it's ready to move in, we take it if we like it. But then here, you view a house, you apply, they check your references, they check where you used to live, were you paying rent in good time, and stuff like that, just to make sure that the person they're actually letting into their property is legit and stuff like that, which is different and something not everyone knows or talks about. So as you plan to move abroad, it's important for you to kind of like just do your research and know what is required of me, what do I need to do, what documents do I need, and stuff like that, especially when it comes to the legal kind of things. No one wants to be in trouble with the law as an immigrant. No one. And then there is this one that is just hard for some. And this is the fact that you will need to build a social circle. Now, I feel like even if you come here as with your family or with your partner, like, you still have to go out of your way to build a social circle. And this is not easy, because remember, you're an adult, you're trying to settle down in a new place, you're trying to do your thing, you're trying to study, work, make sure your kids are settled in school if you come with kids. So where do you even get the time to build a social circle? Like, where? But let me tell you, as hard as it may be, it's very important for you to build a social circle. So in as much as people don't talk about how hard it is to build a social circle, it's not impossible to build a social circle around you. Yeah, it just takes a lot of effort, especially on your side, not on the person who's been here. It has to be on your side as the newcomer. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Also, yeah, if you're moving to Australia, if you're moving to my state, let's link up. Let me know, and yeah, I can be your first social circle friend. And then I feel like there's always this belief that when you move abroad, you're gonna make more money, you're gonna live the life. You know, there's this thing about the American dream. I'm putting it in quotes because I don't know, it's different for everyone. So I feel like there's that notion that people have about the American dream, and hey, let me just tell you, there's more to it. Because as you have seen in the news, like, cost of living, for example, is affecting everyone. How does that impact on you who's moving abroad? How are you gonna survive? Let me tell you, one of the things that I've come to realize is that you cannot survive on a single income. Like, you need at least 2 sources of income. Even if you're doing one full-time, at least do one part-time. so that at least you're in a better position. Especially it gets worse like if you have a family and you have kids that you're taking to school. Let me just tell you, both of you just have to work. Mom and dad have to work. There's no two ways about it, because living expenses are quite high, like rent, internet, food. When you actually do the math, like sometimes I go into a supermarket and I'm buying stuff, and then I do the math, I'm like, oh my god, I spent this amount of Kenya shillings here. Oh my god. Another thing, let me just plug, making hair, for example, is very expensive here compared to back home, for sure. Like that one is for sure. So before you decide you're coming here with your natural hair, think about it, think through it, and see, do you know how to plait? Do you know how to do all those things, or are you gonna actually have to outsource and spend money while doing it? So yeah, think about that as well. Now the last one, of course, is one that I think everyone experiences to some level, and that is the fact that you will miss familiar food and comfort that you've always known for the majority of your time growing up, for example. So in as much as there's different ways, like you can get the kind of ingredients to make the same food that you have back home, here it's not the same. There's just something that is missing. There's just something that misses. The other day I was texting my mom and I was like, hey, me, I miss your fish. And I was like, how can I even make my mom's fish? How? It's my mom's, it's not mine. So certain things just make you like miss the comfort that you had, and this sometimes affects people, and I've seen people actually move back home because they cannot deal with all the changes. Like they cannot deal with the cost of living, they cannot deal with missing their family, they cannot deal with the loneliness, they cannot deal with all these things that are expected of them. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's hard, but then there's people who've made it. So there's always that one side of you that should tell you that you will, or you can also make it. You don't have to, but you can. Well, those are my few things that I have realized people did not tell me about moving abroad. If they told me, maybe I would have made a different decision, or made my decision knowing that this is what I was gonna get into. But all the same, I'm here and I am making the best of it. So if you're planning to move, I hope this video helps you, and if you know someone who's planning to move, please share this video with them, and yeah, let them know what to expect even as they plan to move. I'd actually love to know, like, if you've moved abroad, like, have you experienced this, and how did you, or how are you dealing with it? Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, this is your sign to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.